Yo, people, how's it going? Welcome. Today, you'll notice a little guest over here. I've got the one and only Max Kanye
Meh.
West. Coney,
Coney, that's right.
Coney,
Coney.
just Coney, Max Coney. The reason I have Max on today is I don't talk about ear training enough, and I learned poorly in school. We'll get into all this, but Max has an amazing YouTube channel that you guys should all go check out. And he also has an app that he launched, this year? Pretty
Hmm.
new.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous. We'll get into all that, but all you Mike's Music Method people out there, stick around. Hopefully, you're going to learn something. I think you will. I'm just going to try to express to you how important ear training is and how it isn't separate from your normal guitar practice, and it's intertwined. And welcome, Max.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here. Stoked that you wanted to have a conversation and always happy to talk music, always happy to talk ear training, and should emphasize guitar is also my primary instrument. And I was a
Ah,
guitar teacher for like 17 years since the time I was 15 until, well, I actually still teach some guitar, funny enough. But as a main thing in my life, it was like probably 15 or 17 years, something like that.
dang. Okay, I didn't know that. Just like you doing the ear training at the keyboard, I always assumed you were a keyboard player. Ah,
Yeah, I learned some piano first, and then I started learning again after I quit for a while, and I started learning again when I was about the same time I started guitar. But guitar was the thing, and when I was growing up, it was about shredding. I was shredding.
dude, I was
Part
a
of the
shredder
whole.
too.
You
It
were?
was like it was thrash metal. My brother was 5 years older, so it started with like Metallica,
Yes.
Megadeth, Slayer, and
Yeah.
then like Anthrax and more obscure thrash. And then I discovered like Joe Satriani, and like that's all I wanted to do too is play really really fast.
Yeah.
And now like I don't even know how to hold a pick anymore.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean I
Yeah,
do, but I'm way better with my fingers now.
I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I also I still hold a pick a lot, I should say, but I don't shred anymore. And I really got into solo guitar arrangements, like chord
Mm,
melody stuff. That's mostly
yeah.
what I play these days. And
Oh.
something about the combination. So much of the music I guess I love working on is this way combination of technical stuff, theoretical stuff, nerdy shit, and then also the artistic, making it beautiful at the same time. That it's like a solving the musical problem of putting together all the elements and making it work. That's it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. No, I love doing that too. Like take a random melody and like how can I finger pick, Travis pick this thing? So I hear you
Exactly.
on that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a point where it goes too. I just don't like when it enters like Olympic territory. It's
Hmm.
like I still want to be an artist. I don't want to be like a finger
Of
Olympian.
course. Of
Like when you
course.
get to like Chet Atkins and certain Doc Watson, you're just like,
Yeah, yeah.
I can't. I can't. Like,
I
I know the
understand.
hours it takes to get there, and it's just I can't.
Isn't that the way? It's like, as before you play guitar, the feeling is, oh yeah, guitar seems pretty good. Probably I could probably do that. Try it a bit, you're like, yeah, it's kind of hard. You get a little bit into it, you feel like, oh yeah, I'm the man. And then you start to get into it and you're like, oh, hmm, people are pretty good at this.
Yeah.
The further you get into it, you're like, what? You play for a number of years and you think, is it possible? How are they even you know?
Yes.
I've been playing for 22 years now, and I look at some of the stuff that people do and I think, I know what it takes to play like I do, and so I can extrapolate, and this is another realm.
Yes.
You have to cut out huge portions of your life to be able to get to that, and I just was not willing to do that.
No, yeah, I hear you. Only so many hours in a day, and I do have other hobbies, so that's good. Good to hear. You're a
Yeah.
well-rounded human being over there.
Mm.
Cool. So, in terms of your training, of course, there's the what, the how, and the why. I think it might be interesting maybe to start on like the why, just so we could capture people in, and we can talk about maybe what training your ear means, if you would even frame it that way. But like, why? Why do we want to develop a better ear, and why do we want to develop like relative pitch and pitch recognition, and what is that going to do for your average finger picking guitarist?
Mhm. The main benefit is that without any other information, you always know what's going on in the music that you're playing, that you're writing, that you're covering, that you're thinking about, that you're listening to. And in knowing what's going on, it means that you can manipulate it on the fly. You're not bound to memorizing shapes or having to slowly think your way through something. There's a sense that as it comes out, you don't need to search, you know immediately. You know, as I listen to music now after the years of ear training, if my mind goes towards that mode, because I can, of course, it's fine just to listen to. It's not like I have to analyze everything. But if I'm in the mode of wanting to know what's happening, because I want to play the song, for instance, it just appears. It appears as a whole string of whatever. I don't know what the key is because I don't have perfect pitch, but everything else appears. And if I can find the key, then I can play the song essentially immediately, whether it's melodies, whether it's chords, both together. And I think that for a lot of people, you get into music. Why? Because you want to play songs you love.
Yeah.
And how are you going to learn? Well, you go to Mike's Music Method, or if he doesn't have a video on it, then what are you going to do? You need to look at tabs,
I know, God
sketchy.
forbid you go to Ultimate Guitar, they're going to be wrong. You're going to feel like a sucker, not
Seriously,
playing it right.
I know.
Before you
Honestly,
go on,
that's
I hate to cut you off,
yeah, yeah,
but you
no
brought
problem.
up a point of being able to do all this and putting in the time, and you don't have perfect pitch. But even beyond that, I want to say, like, you don't even need to have like a good ear for this to happen. Because when I started playing guitar, I was like 10 years old. I've been playing for like 30 years. It's been a long time. So even at age 15 when I started like singing, trying to play in a pop punk band, like I couldn't match pitch. After 6 years of playing my instrument, I would play a note and be like, oh, oh, like I couldn't do it. So, and here I am, like professionally transcribing songs for a living. And so it's you. I'm sure you would agree, but can you speak on that? Like, do you need to have this like natural talent or ear?
I hope not. I was like you. I was absolutely bottom of the barrel when it comes to anything to do with that. And just like you, it was years after I've been playing and playing seriously too. 5, 6, 7 years after I started playing guitar, playing like 5 to 6 hours a day, and still came to the point where try to sing happy birthday, try to sing the national anthem, try to sing, anything. And I just could not hold the tune, and I would fall off and then get confused and start again and fall off and and there's just no stability. Try to match pitches and I would like end up singing harmonies of them. And my singing teacher, I went for some singing lessons for a while. He was like, "You're always singing harmonies." I was like, "What does that mean?" I didn't even know what,
Yeah,
just completely
yeah,
nothing, nothing.
yeah. All right,
So,
cool. That's funny. Same background. Like
mm,
my wife, it's funny because her pitch is probably still better than mine, even though
likewise,
she's an
likewise.
architect, you know. But
Mm.
like, I will admit, of course, some people do. Like, even my daughter, like all my kids, actually can like, I start singing a song and they can match it. So some people have it, and it's funny to hear that you weren't. I certainly wasn't one of them. So even and there's this, people say, "Oh, I'm tone deaf." It's like tone deaf is like an actual clinical like thing with your ear. If songs sound different to you, then you're not tone deaf. Like
Mm.
if you can discriminate pitch and you can kind of sing along with happy birthday at a party, then you can develop this skill and become quite excellent at it.
Agreed. There isn't anything actually difficult or complex involved in ear training. It's literally like learning anything else, learning to recognize anything else perceptually in life, whether you're labeling colors or labeling the sounds of friends' voices that you hear or sensations in your body or anything like that. It's just a simple, repeatable experience that through paying attention to it and labeling it, then you gain familiarity over time until suddenly there's no more calculation and the sound occurs and the knowledge appears and you say, "Oh, that's what that is." Blung.
Yes, I love that. That's a beautiful way to put it. I would do like in September, I try to write a song every day.
Hmm.
And someone else told me like, oh, I try to take a picture every day. And I love this idea. I just heard this where like, depending what you set your intent on or like the goal that you make, all of a sudden you literally will start to perceive the world differently, right? Your senses are going to start to notice different things. So it's really amazing when you like, you could be driving your car like stuck in traffic. This sucks. I'm trying to get to work. That's my goal. This sucks. But if your goal is to like take beautiful pictures that day, you might notice like a flower there on the side of the road that like there's no way you would have noticed otherwise. So to your point, yeah, it's like if you set your mind to this task of note discrimination, you're going to be amazed that your sense data's your senses are going to do it for you, and you're going to go, oh wow, there I can recognize a difference between a second or a third, and we'll talk about intervals later. But so I think that's enough. Why? That's awesome. So like, what is ear training to you, and then that's probably tied into the how. But if you could speak to that.
Sure. I think that ear training covers a lot of things. The term is so general, right? What we're talking about, I think in particular, is tonal ear training regarding identifying individual notes and melodies or bass lines and chords and their positions within a key. I think that's primarily what, at least what I'm using ear training for on a daily basis, is getting chords and melodies from songs and combining them, or from my imagination and combining them. But of course, you can ear train anything from rhythms to bird calls to whatever you want. It's all the same
Good, fair
process.
point. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. My
really.
mother-in-law is pretty good with the bird calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, likewise, we love birds around here. So then the what is a matter of being exposed to a given sound, which in my terminology, I'm going to make a distinction between the sound of something and the feeling state of something. And this terminology is confusing for some people. So if you don't jive with it, throw it away. But for me, structures in music, like a scale degree, like an individual note or a chord or a certain scale or mode, like Mixolydian or Dorian or whatever, they have a perceptible signature, a perceptible unique quality that I'm calling its feeling state, which is not its pitch. This is the important thing about the how
Yes.
here, as far as the way I'm talking about ear training.
Yeah.
Um, what we're
Totally.
recognizing in these things is not, you're not memorizing pitches, you're memorizing the feeling state or experiential characteristic or color or flavor or quality that comes along with a given structure, meaning a note or a chord or whatever. And that's what you learn to recognize. And the pitch is almost incidental. It just is whatever it is because those pitches will be different depending on what the key is.
Yeah. So relative pitch we're talking about. Yeah. So I love all that, and maybe let's talk about like, yeah. So all of that comes together where we're learning to distinguish between, yeah, different scale degrees, and from there we're getting different chords and learning how those relate to the key that we're in. But what I absolutely love about what you're doing, obviously you talk about it really passionately. So like I said, everyone check out his video, Max's videos on ear training, and the app. We'll get to that too. But what I love about this whole, the way you talk about it is like, I went to school, I minored in music, didn't major in it, so I didn't, probably had 3 ear training courses though. But the way I was taught, and the way most people I talk to who went to music school, is like, you're thrown a random interval, say like C to F, you have a perfect fourth, and then all of a sudden you have like A flat to E flat, and but it's in a totally different key, and you're supposed to just hear the sounds of the intervals. But how you listen to music your entire life is with a tonal center. Songs are in a key. So when I was thrown these random intervals, like my brain would still be hanging on to the first interval I heard, and I was played a second interval in a second key, and I'm trying to connect it to the first one, and like I got nowhere. It was embarrassing no matter how much I remember like going to sleep with like different tapes on, like cassettes of me recording intervals trying to memorize this crap. But it'd be like a major third in a rand in a key in one key, then a minor six in a totally different key, and I never got it at all. It made me feel stupid. And so maybe there's a reason. We don't have to spend the whole time knocking that approach.
Hmm.
But Max has a much better approach. And I'm not saying Max invented it, but what you're doing with it and how you're describing it, no one has ever described it to me in this way. So I
Hmm.
give you credit for being vocal about it on the internet and being so passionate about it. And
Hmm.
so the way Max does it, he can speak to it, but it's all against a drone. So, for example, it could be G or it can be A. Like Max is saying, it's all relative, but he will play a G. And now your ear is like, okay, that's home. Whether it's major or minor, I know that G is home. And then he'll play like a major second above it. And it's like, okay, that two sounds different than the one. Then maybe the melody will play the same note as a drone. You're like, boom, and that's the same do, re. And you hear that re is different than the do, and there's a feeling. You're right, there's a feeling to it. It's not like a taste or a color, but there's some other sense data that's hard to describe where like over time, and I'll say this, like even though I transcribe music and I've done hundreds of songs for this channel, thousands of songs in my life, like I couldn't do that. With my guitar in hand, I can get to it quickly, but my guitar is my crutch. And when I started with your app, like it was slow. Just doing the difference between one and three took me a while. But no joke, after like 10 days, I could very quickly discriminate between all the notes in the major scale. So tell us about that drone, the power of the drone, and how your app kind of uses that, and just how it builds from very simple. So you don't need to know anything about theory to use this app. Um, you go.
Okay. So yeah, your point about intervals is important. There's the app and the whole method that I'm putting forward here is not about training distances between two notes, which is the typical way, which people call an interval, melodic interval. That's the way people typically talk about ear training and transcribe melodies, is that you hear a melody as being some series of distances between adjacent notes. Oh, it went up a second, then down a fifth, then up a half step, then down a fourth, and so on. Which, of course, yes, it did, and you can learn to hear it that way. And like you, I spent a lot of time with apps trying to train that, and I did train it. I actually got very good at doing that, and I'm still very good at it, unfortunately. And do I do I use it? Not really. There's times when it does become useful, but it's
Sure,
not
sure.
nearly as useful as scale degree training. And scale degrees, just to clarify for anybody, is just the numbering of the notes of a scale. Instead of saying C, D, E, F, G, A, B, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, or do, re,
Numbers
mi,
applied.
fa, sol, la, ti, do. Yeah, we're just giving each
Exactly.
scale degree a number. Mhm.
Exactly, exactly. So it's just like solfege, except we're using numbers instead. And the interesting thing about this is that what happens when you play two pitches together is that they form a vibrational ratio of some kind. Some pitch is vibrating at some speed, and the other note is vibrating at a faster or slower speed, and they end up, of course, interacting in some way. And that interaction between them is perceived by us as some quality, some feeling of resonance, some feeling of whatever. Now, I wouldn't, people get confused when you use the term feeling because we talk about feelings as happy and sad and angry and so on. That's not what we're talking about. I wouldn't say that a major third feels happy, so to speak. Maybe like proto happy, or like very kind of some fundamental unit of what happiness consists of, maybe. But it's not like when I hear a flat six, I'm thinking, oh, this is anger or something. It's more subtle than that. But the interesting thing is,
For me,
this
there is a
is,
bit of like tension and resolution, if that can be described
of
as a
course,
feeling. You know what I
of
mean?
course.
Like some feel like you're kind of longing to get somewhere, and others feel a little more settled.
Of course, I agree. And the interesting thing is that music, for everyone who is not tone deaf, so basically everybody, it consists of this already. That is, the experience of listening to music is the flow of scale degree feeling states. As you hear melodies move, as you hear chords move, that is what this is. It's the same experience as you already know and love, being the experience of listening to music.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just people have not learned to isolate and mentally partition those feeling states out from the rest of the musical experience. And so they're sort of fused. Because of course, to the regular listener who's not a musician, there's not even a sense that chords are going by, right? That's a thing you have to
Sure.
learn.
Yeah.
You have to learn that chords exist, and that then, oh, you see, when that changes, that's a chord, and so on.
You
It's
take it
like,
for granted. It's funny. I'll teach a beginner. I'm
yeah.
like, well, didn't you hear the change? They're like, hear what?
Seriously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When something becomes self-evident to you, it seems as though you've always known it and everybody must know it. But no, when you work with students for a long time, you realize, right, you have to learn to parse this incoming flow of data and
Mhm.
parse it into whatever it is that's useful to you to parse it into. And for a listener, they don't have to parse it into anything. You just be with the experience of the music, and that's what's cool, and that's what you love. For us who try to parse it, we realize we're like pulling apart something that the brain is trying to fuse together, right? It's like constantly taking
Yeah.
all these layered vibrations and saying, oh, that's a guitar and that's a drum and that's a voice, and we're trying to pull it all apart and it's trying to fuse it. So there's some aspect of ear training which is kind of going against the grain of what is easy, of what is natural to do, which is just to let it be fused.
That I love how you put it that way because that's still my struggle when I'm doing finger picking things. Like every note one at a time, much easier. But when it's a strum and it's like a jump up the neck and strumming somewhere, it's just like there's a bunch of notes. It's more than two. I can hear the lowest one. I think I got the highest. Trying to parse out those middle two. I love that. That's a cool way to think about it. Never, yeah, it's like your brain trying to isolate all these little individual elements is a very cool way to frame it.
It's exactly it. You can feel it every time you play a chord. As you say, for anyone who doesn't have ear training experience or perfect pitch, chords are fused into a single experience. You know, you
Hmm.
strum, you don't hear six notes, it just goes rum and you feel something and you say, oh, that's the chord. But
Hmm.
when someone says, sing the third highest note from the top, and you're like, is there even a note there? It's like you can't even, it becomes
Yeah,
opaque almost, right?
yeah.
So ear training is somehow making that opaqueness not only transparent but segregated and like delineated
Mm.
so that when you need it, there's the information of what's on top, what's on bottom, what the chord quality is, where it is within the key. Is it the one chord, the two chord, the three chord? Is the melody playing the five? Is it playing the two? Blah, blah, blah. All these things can be extracted. It just requires the desire and the repetition. If you desire it and you repeat the getting in good information over and over again, your brain will figure it out. And suddenly one day you're listening to music and it goes, oh, that's the five. Oh, that's the three. Oh, it's key changing. And you can maybe even hear where the key change goes.
Yeah.
All these sorts of things start to happen and it's like magic. Yeah.
Yeah. So give me an example of brag a little bit. Like what's something magical that like you never thought you could do that now you can do? Because people always say that to me, like, man, at your skill level, like how cool is that you can just like pick up your guitar, and there's times where there's both. There's times where, like you said, you look at a great player and you're like, oh my God, like, but then there's other times you pick up the guitar and you're just like, I can freaking do this. Like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? I've been
Um,
listening I listened to the song for 10 seconds and like, I already freaking know how to finger pick it. Like, it's really empowering and it's fun and makes you feel good. And so what can you do? What is it ear training enabled you to do? Like, give us an example of how you might use it.
sure. So I'm a pretty harmony obsessed person. Like of all the elements of music, chords and chord progressions and all that stuff is like, for whatever reason, just does it for
You,
me.
you nerd out like Jacob Collier.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when I was like 16, speaking of Jacob Collier, I didn't know, of course, Jacob Collier at that time, but apparently he and I both came across a group called Take Six, and Take Six is a American vocal a cappella group, gospel group, six guys, and they do but jazz influenced arrangements. And I heard them do the Star Spangled Banner with this jazzy thing, and I thought, what is that? That whatever that is, I need to be able to do that. Those sounds just like unlocked something in my brain, and my life became
Yeah.
about that. And the thing is, I studied all this theory. Okay, so it's you got your 2/5 and you substitute your 5 for your tritone sub and you can invert it and it goes to the parallel thing and blah blah blah, all the music theory, whatever.
Sure.
So I learned all that and I thought it's cool. Intellectually I get it and I can like analyze the score and all this. But when I hear it, it's still just this opaque wall of like, what even is that?
Yeah.
And now it's not. Now, really, it's
That's
not. It's
cool.
like I go back to I often have these experiences where I listen to a song I haven't heard in 10 years that was like just completely opaque to me. And now I hear it and I think, wow, it's like it just leaps out of the music. All of what's happening just comes out. And I'm like, I know how to play this without even trying. And I think, like, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to be able to do. And here it is happening.
That's so cool. And yeah, just like literally the dots kind of all get connected, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's the disconnecting of the dots, as you said
Sure.
before, right? It's
Sure.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you kind of your brain's now parsing these individual things out.
Yeah.
That's very cool. For me, I'll still say, and I might have a question on the end that's very self-indulgent, but not to say that I'm like stuck, but I need to know what next step to take, perhaps. But before we do that, how do we practice ear training? So of course we can learn songs. My 101 is I tell people listen to a pop song and listen for the lowest note in the bass, right? Figure that out. Spend days or weeks doing that, right? Bass note, find the lowest note. And if it's a pop song, then you can guess the chord, right? 99% of the time. If that bass note's a G, well, it's either G major or G minor, right? Not many inversions in pop music. So that's something I recommend. That'll get you so far. Certainly don't start with a finger picking song, trying to figure out all the voices, right? That's been not the approach. Maybe if you want to get the general chords, but so besides obviously trying to transcribe, oh, I also say like simple melodies, right? A song you've heard a million times. Can you figure out Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on your guitar without tab? What else would you recommend? And then of course, let's tie that into the Sonofield app.
Sure. The base fundamental skills I think that are even more important are the ones we mentioned earlier, matching pitches with your voice
Mm,
and being able to find pitches, which is what you're saying, on your instrument. Those two things, even before you learn to label scale degrees and chords and all this, is about when you hear do, can you go do? Or if you play or you hear do, can you find do on your guitar? Even if it takes you 2 minutes, it doesn't matter. The point is, can you find it? And when you find it, you know you've got it. That's the important point. You're not guessing, right? I've had many students that I say, play do, and they go around, they play some note, and then they look at me like,
is that it?
I'm
Yeah.
like, you tell me, is that the note that I'm singing? And the question is, if you if you can do that, great. That's the foundation. Then you're ready to move on to anything else. If you can't do that,
No,
you
thank
have
you.
to
Yeah,
work
yeah.
on
No,
it.
speak to that because, like you said, I've been doing this so long that sometimes you forget even where I started. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's. So what? Yeah, what we're saying is like, I'll just grab my guitar. You know, you want to be able to. You can do it both ways, right? So it's guitar to voice, voice to guitar, right? And you want both elements of that. So if I'm playing, let's say I'm going to pick a random note, boom, right? That's finding a note, boom, generating it with my voice. The other way would be to sing a note. Da. So even if it takes you 6 or 7 misses, right, we're looking to find that. And any other thoughts on that? Or what if you can't do that?
Okay, so first of all, what the skill that's being trained is identifying the whatever you want to call it, sound or feeling of pitch matching, right? Where the waveform of one is the waveform of the other, and they do this thing, and it locks in, and you go, oh, that's that's the
Yeah.
same. That's the same. It's not about how fast, not about how accurate. It's about do you recognize if it's the same? That's the important point. Because if you can't do that yet, then you cannot solve problems when you get stuck at any later stage. Because as you say, there's times
Yep.
when you're transcribing a song that, sure, you use all the good ear train tricks and it all appears to you effortlessly and it's great. And then this one chord comes and it's like, I have no idea what that is. And what are you going to do? You're not just going to go train for the next 6 months to figure out how, you know what I mean? You got to do it now. So
Yeah.
you're going to go pitch by pitch,
Hmm.
listening over and over, play stop, play stop, play stop, play,
Yep.
and something in you needs to know, oh, that's it. Next one. Oh, that's it. If you can't tell that that's it, of course, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
this is a very important thing to do. And one thing that you can do to start with if you have trouble with this is find the pitch of your normal speaking voice. This is best if you have a friend who can help you, who is a musician or can do this, but you can try on your own. If you say a sentence and hold a word mid-sentence, like I might say the sentence, I'm going to say, hello, I'm Max, but I'll just stop at hello.
Yep.
Of course, this is an easy note for me to sing. It's my speaking voice.
Yeah.
And then you find that on the guitar. It's going to be a low note if you're a guy somewhere down there, of course.
Yeah.
And when you find it, and it stops going
It stops wobbling. Yeah.
like tuning your guitar, of course, that same
Hmm.
phenomenon. Then you've got it, and what you need to do is repeat this sense of singing an easy note, finding it until they lock. And when they lock and it goes, oh, that's the lock. You start to appreciate this matching quality more. And then, I mean, this speak for myself. Try to match everything that I hear all the time
Yeah.
to anyone's detriment around me, perhaps. But if I hear a bird, if I hear a door creak, if I hear the wheel of my bike squeak, if I hear anything happen and it goes cring, I say and it goes coom. I say coom, whatever. The
Yeah.
bathroom fan's on, ooh, and you sing.
I do it with my kids all the time. They'll say a sentence, say a sentence, say a
Yeah.
sentence, say a sentence, and then I like whatever they just said. I try to like make a little melody, a little, get the guitar, and it's
Exactly.
all musical.
Honestly, I this is even going to go beyond ear training right now, but I would say that mimicry with your physical body before even your instrument is like near the top of important musical skills or things that you can do is just can you speak can you go doom 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 can you
Yeah.
touch? Can you dance? Can you repeat what you hear? You hear a little rhythm and you speak it back. Trying, because this instrument, so to speak, is unfiltered through an interface that you need to translate. It's just immediate. So, of
Hmm.
course, if you can't express it with the immediacy, then you don't really know what it is, and it's going to be hard to find on your instrument.
Beautifully put. I love that. Yeah. I remember the first time I heard like Bobby McFerrin. He's a "Don't Worry, Be Happy" guy, but then like you put on like a record and you're like, oh, this is crazy. Like he's
Totally.
got some that there's no instruments at all, and just so expressive in that. I think Reggie Watts is a guy who's like doing it now still, but very cool stuff. So yeah, and I would encourage everyone to like beginner mind, be curious, right? Like what's one of these phrases too? Like there's no failure, there's just feedback, right? So when you're finding these wrong notes, just be aware of like, oh, that it sounds wrong, and it's like, hey, very good, right? That's like the binary approach. Okay, that's off. Let's try another one. Off, and you're just gonna you'll know when you get to on. But you're gonna know more so if you're paying attention to every time you're wrong. It's not something you want to power through because all of those different dissonances do come into play later on because when you're matching a wrong pitch, like well, you're matching it to a pitch is just the wrong one. And later on, that's going to be potentially one of these scale degrees that we're trying to train later on.
Exactly. So, beyond those basics of the singing and the repeating and the whole deal, the reason that Sonofield, which is the name of my app, the reason that Sonofield starts with individual scale degrees as opposed to starting with whole scales or modes or chords or anything else is that there's only 12. I mean, there's actually more to that conversation, but I'm not going to go. There's only 12. And those
We'll
12
save microtonal for another chat. All right.
those 12 are exemplary of everything else that you might end up having to do in ear training, learn ear training. That is,
Yes.
of course, they are the building blocks that make up all of the larger structures of chords and keys and everything that you're going to experience. And so they're the place you want to start to learn with because, of course, you want to start by speaking simple words as opposed to trying to speak complex sentences. So these individual scale degrees, starting with the major scale and then filling in the gaps, perhaps, is like learning the basic phonemes or syllables that make up this musical language so that upon hearing them, it comes out to you and you can start to hear in numbers. I mean, at first, there's the sense that there's a slow translation. Sound, number, yes, yes. Eventually, it's sound number, and eventually, it's just, I know it. And there's not even the sense of five, six, seven. You just play it. And someone says, what is it? Well, it's five, six, seven, of course, but wasn't thinking, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And the more I do it, I'm certainly getting tastes of that, or that I'll get flashes of that. I'm still in the mode where it's like, hear it, oh, three, five. But there are moments where, like, now the song will be on the radio and there's like a little da da da, or like, I'm like, oh, three, two, one. Obviously, that's three. Um, So
So
it is coming in that way, and it's awesome because I haven't been playing with the app that long, and it's really it's fun too. Like not only is it practical and help developing my ear, but it's like an addicting. Not that it's a game. It's not a game, but like kind of. It's a challenge. So in
yeah,
that sense, it's a game.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's a lot of fun.
the app is very much trying to be a game, at least for me, because well, A, I've played video games my whole life, and
Yeah,
B, I just find that that has intrinsic motivation for me to see ranking of my number of gems I get and all the stuff. Somehow
yeah.
that is,
Oh no,
if my
that's human
excited
psychology. The
about
whole
me.
gamifying thing is no joke. Yeah, we all
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
So to be clear for people, the method here is based on traditions from India and elsewhere, which are dronal in nature, meaning that that music, their Indian classical music and similar styles, are basically melodic in nature, playing melodies only, no chords, and they play them over a static drone. And the drone is the tonic, it's the home note, it's the key center. And then they play scales, what we call scales, over top of these in certain patterns and so on. And in their ear training for this, they learn through scale degrees, through their own numbering system, to sing and hear, recognize, and produce these numbers, these scale degrees, these vibrational ratios against the drum. And my teacher, one of my music teachers, he had studied this North Indian raga singing for 30 plus years.
Oh
But prior
wow.
to that, he was huge into jazz, huge into classical his whole life. I mean, truly unbelievable musician.
Yeah.
And so he has this combination of worlds. And in reading his books and studying with him, it just completely changed my whole world as far as music perception goes. And the app is the outcome of that influence meets the influence of I should say my teacher's name there, his pen name is W.A. Matthew, Mathieu. Look him up, read anything, literally
All right.
anything. Secondly,
Cool.
there's an
Cool.
influence I'm just going to say too because I want to shout out. His name is Stephen Malinowski, and his channel on YouTube is Smalin, Smolin, Stephen Malin. And he does visualizations of classical music primarily, where in some of them you have like scrolling notes on the screen, like almost like looking at a MIDI, like a piano roll of
Piano
MIDI
roll. Yeah.
scrolling by, but more artistic. But the little blobs on the screen are colored by scale degree. And
Mm.
he contacted me at some point and we had a conversation about coloring scale degrees. And I thought, wow, that's a great idea. It's like somehow seeing into the music as it's happening. And so Sonofield is the combination of this Indian
Oh,
sort of
cool.
solfege method, let's say,
Oh,
your train
neat.
method, with harmonic
Yeah.
coloring.
With the
And
colors.
here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, another thing to say is it is a beautiful app. It looks real pretty. So A plus on that as well. I
Thank you.
tried that in college. Like it's funny. I was actually a visual arts major, and I not a visual artist, never was. But that's a story for another time. Um, but I remember there were several months where like I was sitting with notation because I sucked at I still suck at sight reading. Like I don't like doing it. I still prefer
Yeah.
tab regardless of the rhythm. It's just like, well, if I'm learning a song, I should already know the rhythm of the song.
Yeah.
If not, I'm going to listen to it, right? I got a phone. I can pull up any song that I want. So I'm bad at sight reading. Um, so I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I remember like experimenting with, you can give them colors, can you give them shapes? So there are a lot of people out there that have tried to do just that, and that's like a fun little rabbit hole if you have the time.
Yeah.
Just
And so
alternate forms, you know.
of notation, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I want to say too, also, I'm very bad at sight reading. I also want to say I didn't go to music school. So in case people have ideas, I'm like
Mm.
nerd, fully trained, whatever, that's not
Yeah,
the
no,
case.
that's cool to hear. No,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some reason, I think that does make a difference. It's like,
yeah,
oh, easy for you to say because you dedicated like 4 years
exactly.
undisturbed to this task,
Yeah. I
which
wasn't a
you
wasn't a
probably
child
still did,
prodigy.
but you
Of
weren't in
course,
school
of
doing it.
course. I just didn't have to do music history as well, and like
Yes,
other courses.
totally.
Yeah. So
Cool. Would it be hard for you to demo the thing? I mean, I guess I could just link people over to your site, or I don't know if you want to just show what it looks like. It's so pretty. Why don't you screen share just for a second?
I don't know that I can screen share it to you because it's on the
Oh,
phone and I'd have to get up
gotcha.
and
Oh yeah, yeah, because it's a phone app. You want to just
okay,
try to hold it up for a
I
second?
can try to hold it up for
Just
a
because it's
second.
so pretty.
Just so
But
you know,
everyone should really go over there and look at it, though.
yeah, if you just go to the App Store and search Sonofield, okay, we're gonna figure it. I have to hide my face, don't I?
Hey,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
So then I'm just gonna try to randomly click and hopefully
There you
and
go. You
hit
wanted
what
melodies,
happens.
picking a little lower. There you go.
And
Hit
so
play
what will
right in the
happen
center. There you
is
go.
a drone will play. Oh, it's not
I
going to
don't
come
think.
through
Yeah, I don't
because
know if
Zoom
I'm
is going
hearing
to
it.
mute the audio right now. But anyway, it's a circle. It's kind of cool to look at and so on.
Yeah,
If you
it's
go to the
colorful and
YouTube,
pretty.
if you go to the YouTube channel, if you just search Sonofield on the App Store, either one, you'll find it.
Yeah. So, I'm just gonna say it. I don't know, Max. He's just another guy on the internet. Seems like a cool dude. He's not giving me any money for this. His app is awesome. There is some stuff you can do for free, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so check it.
A
Yeah, you can
lot.
do quite a bit. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot for free. Yeah, yeah. You
Okay,
don't
great.
nothing, no need to buy.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So check it out. If you dig in, I will say it. Max doesn't have to. It's like the best 15 bucks on your training I think you can spend. I've done all these stupid courses and like didn't do it for me. But again, just check it out. You don't have to buy in or just listen to Max's YouTube material. Like I said, he speaks about this stuff really passionately and gives you all sorts of tips and tricks just on the YouTube channel alone for this kind of stuff too. If there was like one go-to video, do you have like a video that I could link to down below that like you feel is a great introduction? I know you have like the secret of ear training one.
People seem to like either that one. I have another one called Feeling the Major Scale, which is a long video. It's an hour and a half, but it's very exploratory and we talk all about it. These
Yes, I
videos were
listened to
made
that
before.
one and I got a lot out of that one. I think that was the first one of yours that I discovered where I was just like,
So,
wow, no one has ever explained it to me in this way.
so
So,
we can go with that then. Those videos were made before Sonofield existed, I will
yeah.
say. So it's not a part of that, although you will see the Sonofield prototype in that video. But yeah, then let's go with that. Feeling the Major Scale.
Cool, cool. I will link to that one. I'm going to end on a personal question here for me. So I'm doing the app, fairly good at scale degrees. I could still get faster, and I'm sure that's just putting in time. The melodies for me at first were a huge hurdle. Like I got all cocky, like I can know these scale degrees, but once I started hearing like three quick notes in random succession, is that just getting better at the scale degrees before diving into that? Should I take a step back, keep doing both? What's your
Hmm. Yeah, it's a very common problem. So the answer from my perspective is in Sonofield, you want to treat melodies as sequences of individual notes rather than some like continuous melodic contour, so that
which
as
is
each
hard
moment
to
comes
do?
by, it is that's the only thing that exists. Now, this is the only thing that exists. Now, this kind of thing. And the instant that you hear a note, you answer and you don't deliberate. You don't say, oh, was it three? Was it six? Whatever the immediate gut instinct is, you click that. And the next one comes and you
Mhm.
click that. Next one comes and you click that. Because actually, in the end, nothing else matters. If you don't have it as immediate gut instinct, you don't have it. And so you
Yes,
may as
back to
well
that point.
let your gut instinct show you where it currently is, because that's the feedback that the brain needs, right? To see, oh, I keep thinking that six is three, six is three, six is three. And
Yeah.
eventually it just sorts it out. But if you deliberate too much or too slow, you don't reveal that to yourself. So I think that's pretty important.
Okay. Good to know. And
Yeah.
there is something about trusting your gut that sometimes I'll have it on and then I'm distracted, so I'm no longer like really playing the game when it's in pocket mode. I love pocket mode. Thank you for pocket mode. And Max is also amazing about updates. Like usually you buy an app and it never gets updated. It's like you've already given so many thoughtful updates. But when I'm in pocket mode and I won't be paying attention, but I'll notice that I'm doing like do do do. Like I'll hum the resolution and I'm like, oh sure, I guess I did know that was three, like without even thinking like do do do. Like my ear I couldn't help but sing down to the one. So it's kind of magical how it works. It's a lot of fun.
It is. And one last thing I'll say on this, and this applies to your question as well as many other difficulties with ear training, similar to what I said earlier, that your training is about learning to parse what you're hearing into some kind of partitioned or segregated little bits so that you can work with them or understand them. And even in doing a melody, we're hearing not just the scale degree, but we're hearing as we talked about earlier, the intervals between the notes, as well as other factors due to the harmony, of course, too, if there's chords involved or a drone or
Sure.
anything else. And the difficulty here is that without enough exposure or practice yet, all of these elements will fuse onto the currently sounding note. And so you may find that the current chord is a five chord, and the last leap went C to G, which is a fifth, let's say, but
Mm,
the key is actually E flat, and the G then would be a three, and
yeah.
but your brain might immediately go five because it hears a fifth melodically and it hears a five in the bass, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
fused onto the degree, and this fusing mismatch happens, and that's a point of confusion, which is what the whole thing is about, is learning to peel all this aside and just perceive the clear degree quality itself.
Yeah. I love it. All right, we can't talk too long. People just have to go do it, right? I'm always talking about this idea of like false revelation. You can't just listen and be like, "Oh, all this sounds great. I'm gonna have a great ear." You got to go put in the time. So everyone, go put in the time. Before I send you on your way, Max, I'll link to everything down below. Max Konyi on YouTube. You have the .com as well. And
Indeed.
then, do you also are you like pushing and promoting the music because you're a composer too? Is that something that you like really try to get out there? Is that a passion project? Like I don't even know what your main thing is with music.
Good question. What is my main
Yeah.
like listening to it? Um, I love to write music. It is the probably my favorite activity in life in terms of hobbies. The writing, teaching is great too, but writing is where it's at. However, I don't really care that much about releasing music, and I don't really release on platforms or make albums or anything like that. So
Hmm.
I've done a lot of composition work for people. That was my job for a long time and still is occasionally,
Uh,
but I don't release personal music. However, I have a SoundCloud with a whole bunch of random stuff on there, and I stream myself producing music all the time if you want to see the process for making jazz fusion or some other kind of ridiculous stuff that I end up doing. It's all on YouTube.
yeah. Cool. And Max does. He has a great Discord as well. So if you're on the Mike's Music Method Discord, jump over to Max's Sonic Sorcery.
Sonic Sorcery.
Yeah, and he does. I was a part of one of the monthly song challenges, so it's funny, Max. We have that in common too. We're I'm the same way, like obsessed with songwriting, and but I don't even feel the need to post it. It's just like the art, like when I make it, that first iPhone, the first Android, whatever I recorded on, the first demo is like one of the most precious moments outside of like wife and children. Outside of these huge life events, there's nothing more magical than completing a song and recording it that first time. And then I don't care, then I'm kind of over it, but like holy cow, that like act of coming near the completion of the song is just like so beautiful that it's funny that you feel the same way because all my friends are like, man, why don't you do something with these? Or are you at least going to post them? I'm like, I don't know. I did what I needed to do.
Exactly. That's the thing for me. It's the process of the doing, of the writing is the point. I'm not concerned with the finished artifact really much at all. It's cool. I'll go back and listen to it, of course. But like it's the making it happen and all the insights that come and the discovering new stuff to do and oh, this is so cool and
Yeah.
it feels like exploring. It feels like discovering and
Yes.
being on the edge and finding gold and treasure and sometimes finding shit and being like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, there's many ways to kind of compare it to like, in one way, it's like problem solving. It's like you're doing this really cool puzzle. So there's a very game-like aspect to it. But then the other end is like when you get into flow, this is the cliche that all great artists say, but it's true, is like sometimes you're not doing it. Or like even lyrically, this is the kind of eeriest one to me. Like I don't want to say eerie, but the most mystical to me is I'll spit out a random sentence and it's like, oh, okay, that was I'll just mumble nonsense. It's like that was a cool adjective in front of a noun. What does that mean? And then three verses later, I'm like, holy, like that one random thing I spit out became this like totally connective, cohesive story that I put like no thought into connecting at all. And it's just magical.
It is. It is magical. I don't write lyrics generally. But
Yeah.
even in my world, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
Thank
having you.
you.
All your links, all Max's links will be down below. Check them out. Totally worth your time on your guitar journey is getting some of your training, and Max is the guy you want to go to.
Hmm. Thanks so much, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
Yep. Later, y'all.